Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 0 to 60. Today we're doing something that I've wanted to do to my E92 since the day I got it. We're upgrading the tail lights. The only catch is it's not actually my car, we're doing it for a friend, but I really want to get this done to mine soon. So the pre-LCI E92s come with this style of tail light, which to be fair actually look quite good at night time especially, but we're going to upgrade it to the LCI style. We're going to even do something a little bit different with this one. We're going to go bright out with a tinted finish on them as well. So if you want to see that, hit that like button. Let's get into it. So guys, with this set, we actually had to order it from Italy of all the places. And I couldn't find a lot of information on this particular brand, although I'm assuming they're very similar to the Depot ones. But we're going to find out in a few seconds. One thing I will say about them, they have wrapped them really, really well. So they've wrapped the box in cardboard as well. Might have to time lapse this bit. And here they are. Okay, so as my suspicions were correct, they are actually just modified Depot ones. If you're not familiar with Depot, they've been manufacturing aftermarket parts for well over 20 years now. I know they make everything from lighting to panels, radiators. They are a Chinese company, but the quality of Depot is generally a lot better than a lot of the aftermarket options. Cool. That's the lens there. I think we need to get it fitted up and we'll see what they look like when they're on the car. Actually, just before we do, just come in and have a quick look at this. So people that aren't familiar, because the pre-LCI models were not designed to have LEDs, they actually don't have the required load through the taillight circuit that the factory light control module is looking for. So with these 3 load resistors, it actually tricks the car into thinking there's still conventional bulbs in there. Anyway, let's get it plugged in. Okay guys, to get them installed, it's relatively easy. You've got to do it in 2 separate parts. Well, I always do it in 2 separate parts. We've got the boot garnishes, which I'll attempt first. Now, to get to the boot garnishes, you've just got to remove this trim piece, which doesn't take too long, although getting the clips out can be a little bit fiddly. I found the best way to do it is with a strong, larger trim removal tool, and just use the edge, and then edge the clip out. And they actually come out in 2 pieces, so you need to remove, basically pull the top bit up, and then the bottom part of the clip will come out. So let's get on with that. Okay, so that's all the clips removed, and with a bit of luck, which may come off. Well, there may be 2 screws that I forgot about. Just going. And that bit's off. And once you've got those off, it is just the 8 or 10mm socket by the looks of things. So once you've got the bracket that holds the light in place, you've just got to, this one was quite sticky, but I found if I push the light that way, sort of that way, and come around on top, it's come up across, and we can wiggle it off. So that's that one done. Just do the other side. We'll do the same thing. Put it that way, comes away, disconnects, and let's get the new lights. You know, something that a lot of people don't do when they're fitting tail lights, especially with the garnishes, because they have a gasket that seals on the body. It's really important to make sure that this surface is cleaned before the new lights go in. And the way that I normally clean them, I've just got some very soapy water, And we'll just give it a gentle wipe. You don't want to be too aggressive because you might scratch it. You definitely don't want to, even though you can't see it, you really don't want to scratch the paint. But soapy water in there, and she's good, ready for the light. Now with the lights, it is just the reverse of what we've done. So we'll slide it in. Oh, actually, the new lights come with a new bracket, which is good because one of the original brackets was actually broken. Slightly broken. Take that off. And that's the gasket that actually seals the light. And if you don't clean it properly, you're much more likely to, probably get the right light. If you don't clean it properly, you're much more likely to have issues with water getting in the boot where it shouldn't. Or not sealing, I should say. So, I'm just going to plug the light in before we slide it into place. And it is just a direct plug-in fitment on these. Slide it down into its new home. Now, if you just bring the camera around, there's actually a little lip there that you do need to hook on. Make sure you do hook that on and don't tighten it up with it sitting just on top of the panel. And use our new mount, which is that one. Slide it back on and clamp it all down. And just before I do the final tighten down, I always try and make sure that the light is definitely sitting perfectly where it needs to be, all lined up. I have seen people fit these garnish lights and have them hanging a millimetre over too much, so the first time they slam the boot, they break their brand new tail lights. So yeah, always check that everything's lined up before you tighten it up, and always close the boot really slowly the first time you do it. One side done. One of the things I didn't actually realise about the LCI tail lights is the profile, when you look side on, they're actually more three-dimensional. And obviously this follows on into the tail light side. So the actual shape of them is one of the things that makes a big difference on why they look so much better than the early ones. Okay, and with the lights in the actual body of the car, it's much more easy. On the right-hand side of the driver's side here in Australia, you've just got to remove the battery cover, I think that's what it's called. It just comes out with a bit of persuasion, and then you can get into the 3 8mm nuts that are on the back of the light. And with the other side, the one I prepared earlier, there's just a little cover that you can use to get to the back of the light. But I'll show you on this one exactly how it goes. And they're just tucked up right in here. And I use an 8mm deep socket. And undo them. So with the 3 nuts removed, it's just a matter of pulling the tail light out. She went loose straight away, this one. That'll be why. It's been replaced before. It's got a nice wrecker sticker on it, a marker pen. Yeah, that's that one there. And again, we're going to give it a quick clean just where the gasket sits. Okay, so the load resistors that I mentioned at the start of the video, because there's so many of the bloody things, they won't actually fit outside the boot. So we're going to put them inside the boot. We'll tuck them down in as we go. Get the actual main housing located. And something I do before I ever tighten tail lights up is just make sure that they're going to fit the panels perfectly. I've seen a couple of times on cars over the years, if it's had a bad repair on the panel, the light that's in the vehicle might actually be bent to suit the bent panel. So always make sure everything lines up right before you go and clamp all the bolts in. So the tail light's all mounted up, and we just got to mount the load resistors. The reason you need to, I mean, you could just poke them in there and leave it, but the reason I like to make them tight is just they're not loose and wobbling around. I don't think you'd hear them rattling in the car, but again, you just don't want it rubbing, don't want it wearing away in anything. So I've cleaned the flat surface that I'm going to mount them to, and it is just a matter of peeling the double-sided tape off and sticking them on, which is really easy to do once you get the tape off. So there you go, that's them all mounted, nice and tight, out of the way, they're not going to vibrate. Let's get the panel back on and see what it looks like all finished. Okay, so we're getting close to being finished. Now we can turn the lights on when we push the unlock button, or the tail lights, but before you get too excited with anything guys, make sure you check that all the functions are working, especially all the main ones. So that's the tail light function. Let's try the brake. Have we got brakes? Yep. Cool. Got right indicator? Yep. Left indicator? Yep. And reverse lights? Yep. And there we are, it's done, it's finished. Don't they look cool? Fortunately, my car's still got the old ones, but we're going to save up and hopefully get some soon. Let's just see if we can turn it back on. I think it's a really cool upgrade. I hadn't seen LCI taillights and paid this much attention to them. It's awesome how they're more three-dimensional than the old ones. I think this is a wicked mod. If you haven't done it, get on below and see what they're worth to do when you buy these taillights where you're based, because they're quite expensive in Australia. They're around $500 to $600. Yeah, good. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any questions about installing these lights, let us know. And we're going to roll out with some cinematic shots of the finished product. Catch you on the next one.